Good day to you all, welcome back to the channel. It's time for another games to add list. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Here are 5 more coin-op conversions to add to the spectrum. There's not so many stories with these ones. I don't have like lots of treasured memories. There's memories with a couple of them, but some of these games I've actually not played much of, so this will be a first really, and I won't have to bore too many of you with my stories. So without further ado, let's get on with the countdown. There's 5 more coin-op conversions to add to the spectrum. Okay, so the first game we're talking about here is Ghouls and Ghosts, released in 1989 by US Gold Limited. Genre is arcade game, action, themes, horror, Halloween. So if you're looking for any spooky games, according to these people, these are spooky games. I don't find them particularly scary personally, but there you go. And this game was available on multiple platforms: Amiga, Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, Commodore 64, Sega Master System, and Sega Mega Drive. The average magazine score from 13 reviews was 84.85%, so that's pretty good. Annual awards, it won first in Best Sound 1989, Crash Readers Awards, and Review Awards, it was a CMVG hit, a Crash Smash, a Games Machine Star Player, and Your Sinclair Mega Game. And remarks here says featured on Coin-Op Hits 2 compilation from US Gold Limited for £16.32. It's a rather specific little price there. Other games on that compilation were Dynasty Wars, Ninja Spirit, Vigilante, and Hammer Fist. Some games on there. So there we go. Obviously the sequel to Ghosts and Goblins. I gotta be honest about Ghouls and Ghosts. I didn't play anywhere near as much of this as I played of Ghosts and Goblins, but as far as I can remember, this was another difficult game, so probably the reason why I didn't play loads of it, to tell you the truth. But I do remember liking it. But I think by the time this one came out, I wasn't so much of a Spectrum addict anymore. I'd moved on to Commodore Amiga, and this was a game that I played more on the Amiga and on the Sega Mega Drive as well, so rather than the Spectrum version. So I'm quite looking forward to delving into this one a little bit further, adding it to my Spectrum. So without further ado, we are going to the review, and I've chosen the review this time from Your Sinclair. It's a pretty nice looking review. The final verdict and marks at the end are a little bit confusing, but we'll get to that when we get to the bottom of the review. But I quite like the way this one's laid out, very nice and colourful. And here we go, we'll start reading because there's quite a lot to read. I got told off by Jackie for swearing this week, and now I've got to put 20p in the swear box every time I allow an expletive to pass my lips. She's got £4.60 off me already, but insists it'll all go to a good cause. I tell you what, if someone had put a swear jar on me, I mean, I think they'd be billionaires by now. I do like a good swear. Gets it out of your system, doesn't it? Anyway, now I've got to try and get through this review without letting a single bit of saucy, blue or otherwise spicy language slip out. She really picked the wrong time for these sort of shenanigans as well, because Ghouls and Ghosts is a right sod. Okay, a fiver. And just a sort of game that encourages the spontaneous use of colourful colloquialisms. In other words, it's blooming tricky. Yikes, £5.20. Oh no, I said yikes, that's £5.40. Why, how can yikes get you into the swear jar? I don't understand that one, but I mean 60. Damn, £5.80. I mean, there you are, wandering along, minding your own business, and what happens but a zombie skeleton murderer leaps up out of the ground and has a go at you. Then another one, and another. Vultures fly after you, plants lob skulls, pigs charge, and other monsters spit fire, and it all gets very unfriendly indeed. And that's just the first level. It's enough to make a grown man weep and take out a blinking standing order with the ruddy swear box. Another couple of 20p's, that's £6.20 you owe Jackie. This is a humorous review, isn't it? Yep, Ghouls and Ghosts is really hard, perhaps a bit too hard to be friendly. In addition to the baddies, the checkpoints you have to reach to prevent getting sent right back to the beginning are quite far apart, meaning your first hour of playing is Frustration City. At least it is if you're as bleep as me. £6.40 Jackie. I said bleep there because I don't want to get this video demonetized, and I don't know how strict they are on YouTube, so there we go. Generally the controls work well. You have to jump in the air using your joystick before you can access upwards throwing weapons, which is sometimes rather unfortunate because it means you leap so high as to touch the villain you're trying to shoot and so kill yourself. Baddies sometimes rise up out of the ground right beneath you too, giving you no chance. Basically, really good game players with a lot of perseverance will find it just right, but ones who are a bit bleep might get a bit put off. I'm not going to read the next bit because he's going to say it again, and I don't want to keep saying bleep all the time. So, and it's not very funny. This little bit now is outstayed at it's welcome, I think. Right, now we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at the look of the thing. Even though it's based on an arcade original, programmer Software Creation seem to have totally thrown out the window any pretense at emulating coin-op graphics in their conversion. In other words, it looks like a good old-fashioned specky game, not an interesting, honourable, but ultimately failed attempt to recreate the colour and giant sprites of your average snazzy coin-op. Totally the opposite of games like, say, Altered Beast, and quite a welcome relief. The small monochrome figures you see here may not initially set the pulses racing, but they are serviceable and have a wide range of movements and don't get in the way of the extremely challenging gameplay. Later on, when a big snazzy graphic appears, or a neat little one like the flickering firebombs you throw or the rain that falls in some scenes, it's a nice surprise and sometimes truly stunning. The whole thing is backed by some of the neatest sounds in 128K I've ever heard on the Specky, with a real sing-along intro ditty too. Other than that, there's not much instant appeal here, but tons of life expectancy. So to sum up, Ghouls and Ghosts makes a welcome change from the recent slick, flash but ultimately shallow coin-op hits which US Gold has produced recently, Fog World's Strider, and shows a massive improvement on the dull conversions it did at the start of the year. It's good to see the gang producing genuinely good arcadey games again, and this must rate as one of the most challenging and playable of the year. A bit of a triumph for US Gold and Software Creations all around, I think. Blimey O'Reilly O'Rourke. It's a heck of a way to finish the review. I don't know what this bit is in green here, but we'll read it. What is it all about then? Ghouls and Ghosts, of course, is a sequel to that early arcade smash Ghosts and Goblins, and features a return of all our favourite characters. There's our hero, Arthur the Knight Errant, a rather skinny, characterless little monochrome sprite with an exaggerated running action, magic cast iron armour and a limitless supply of throwing spears. He's got a wide range of movements: left, right, jump left, jump up, jump right, crouch, throw left, throw right, throw up, yuck, throw down and climb, and can collect other weapons from magical chests strewn along the way or from jars carried by dead baddies. Collecting and using these weapons in the right order is apparently the secret to success in Ghouls and Ghosts, but I haven't quite got it sussed yet. Then there's his chick, the wonderfully named Prim Prim. She can't do anything as such, but just sort of waits for you at the end of the game. Of course you won't get that far, not if the forces of evil have anything to do with it anyway, and they will, and that's the plot. Good, eh? We've got a picture on the right hand side of the review with the yellow text, and it's just showing you like all the elements of the screen basically. I like where it points at the vulture. It says, look out, it's a vulture. He'll sit there looking all innocent, but just wait till you go past. He'll whiz down and attack you, the scam. Okay, we're going to get to the final verdict now, and this thing is very confusing. We've got some fancy pictures overall. We've got life expectancy 93 degrees, so it's all in degrees, so I think we're probably going to say percent for want of a better thing. Graphics 84 degrees or percent. Addictiveness 89. Instant appeal 82. Diagnosis: simple but pleasing graphics plus bags of playability equals the best US Gold release this year possibly. It's a bit hard though. 91 overall. So a good review score overall. Slightly humourful and maybe a bit over the top review, but there you go. But all in all, a good game, a good sequel to Ghosts and Goblins for sure. These games were never easy. I never found them easy at all, so don't even know which one I found harder. Potentially this one was even harder than Ghosts and Goblins, and I never got very far in that. I think on the spectrum, with the rewinds and the unlimited saves, these are games that you can actually make some progress in now. I mean, I've managed to get further in Manic Miner than I've ever got in my life because I've been using the saves, and every time I get past a certain level I save it, and then obviously if I go on to the next one and I lose a ton of lives, I just reload the save. It's cheating essentially, I guess, but for some of these games I want to go back and see like what happens in the later levels, that levels I've never played before, and also I want to see the end of some of these games, which I've never seen in my life before. And this spectrum's probably got about 10-20,000 games you can add to it, so I don't see the harm in doing that personally. Yeah, it'd be nice if you could just go through on a couple of lives like we did back in the old days and finish these games, but sometimes that's just not going to happen, is it? So I personally am adding this, and maybe I'm going to do some tinkering with the lives and everything and see how far I get in these games. And I think at the end of the day, as long as you enjoy yourself, that's what it's all about, isn't it? So let me know if you've played these games before, let me know, or this one in particular, and let me know if you've completed it. I would be really intrigued to know, because they are legendarily hard. And let me know what platform. It doesn't have to be that you've played them on the Spectrum. I mean, I played more of this on the Amiga, so let me know in the comments below. Moving on to the second game we're featuring, it's Rastan by Imagine Software Limited, released in 1988, also known as Rastan Saga. Bob Wakelin is on the artwork for this one. It's an arcade game Action, and the original price was £7.95 or £14.95 on disc. Released also on Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64, MSX and Sega Master System. And 8 reviews on here, it averaged 81%. Review awards included a Your Sinclair Mega Game. This is a game I must confess to not knowing much about, but I am looking forward to playing some of this on the Spectrum, so I'm definitely going to be adding it along with the other arcade games on this list. So let's have a little look at the magazine. It's a Crash review. It's only a one-pager. It's lacking in a bit of colour, this one, to tell you the truth, after the last one we looked at, but it's certainly wordy, so I'm going to crack on with it. It says, coin-op hero Rastan, king of Marana, is the only man tough enough to liberate his kingdom from the evil influence of the wizard Karg. In an attempt to gain control of the barbarian race, the nefarious necromancer has released a host of beasts and demons upon the land. Protected only by leather and bearing his trusty sword, Rastan hacks his way across a horizontally scrolling landscape of underground passages, grim citadels and rocky cliffs. Unexplored parts of this hostile terrain are connected by flights of steep steps and ropes swinging perilously over lakes of fire. Remote areas boast deadly streams and lava flows. Contact with either of these results in instant death. The wizard has enlisted a grisly crowd of allies ranging from docile-looking lions to ghoulishly aggressive demons. Their instincts are to attack on sight, and the more humanoid beings have seemingly unlimited shot power. Rastan can find and collect a number of helpful items, including more powerful weapons, bonus shields, mantles and also medicines which reduce his vulnerability. Some enemies carry jewellery which bear a variety of mysterious powers, and more devious opponents attempt to fool the warrior king by carrying poison in the form of magic potion. Each level hides a particularly powerful adversary which must be defeated before passing on to the next. A beating heart and attached energy gauge record health status, and should all of Rastan's 5 incarnations be lost, the player is given the option of starting again on the last level visited. This option is offered 3 times, after which Rastan's quest is started again from the beginning. The Barbarian King's mission reaches its climax in a final confrontation with Karg himself. The wizard takes on the most powerful form he knows, the body of a soul-sucking dragon. Only the most legendary of heroes has the power to pierce his hide. Okay, so comments we have. Graphics, superb use of brights with detailed drawings of all the large characters. Sound, feeble title tune with bash and crunch effects. General rating, a playable arcade tie-in, although lacking in variation and content. The multi-load is also annoying. Presentation 80%, graphics 85%, playability 83%, addictive quality 79% and overall 85%. So not a bad review there, not bad scores. We'll see what the individual people have to say. This is Katie. Says, hacking and hewing through hellfire demons, Rastan the Dragon Slayer, Barbarian Warrior Supreme, slashes his way through some surprisingly subtle designer graphics. Pastel shades and different gradations of grey pierced by sudden splurges of red turn Marana into a bleak and hostile world. Rastan himself is smoothly animated and the different ducking, fighting and jumping actions clearly defined. The game, which concentrates on killing marauding fiends, is obviously limited in terms of depth, but the swinging ropes and bonus collection system ensure ample variety. Difficulty is well graded. First level even has a practice rope, and your first go takes you just far enough to keep you hooked. As you're given the chance to start again where the last game ended, there's no laborious repetition of levels you already know off by heart. Rastan is slick and compelling. Anyone remotely interested in the barbarian cause and those new to the sport have nothing at all to lose. Mark says, I'm all for hack and slay type games, and Rastan is just the ticket. Graphically good, a macho Conan style main character cleaves his way across a variety of solid, smooth scrolling backdrops. Adversaries are also well animated and include skeletons, lions, bats and snakes, all as mean as hell and eager to contribute to the barbarian's demise. One small thing that did annoy me was the intrusive and time consuming multi-load. In the end I found this most tiresome, but it fortunately didn't spoil my enjoyment of the game. Rastan is a great game for all you closet mad axe wielders out there. Quite funny into that. Rastan is another coin-op that doesn't seem to have the same addictiveness on the Spectrum that it does on the original machine. Graphics are detailed enough and look good on the screen, but the unrealistic way Rastan moves around the world of Marana and the lack of colour is very off-putting. There's a feeble tune at the beginning and weak spot effects throughout the game. Rastan contains some of the best enemy sprites I've seen for ages, but although they look really vicious, when you run into them you just go straight through as if nothing had happened. In some places you could mistake it for a large version of one of Software Project's classic Jet Set Willy games. Can't see that myself. Because there are swinging ropes and are almost impossible to hold on to. Another drawback is the terrible multi-load, and that destroys any excitement the game may have had. Rastan is disappointing. Wow, so the other two were quite positive. That was very negative, but there you go. I guess everybody has an opinion. Me, I think the game looks good, and I can't remember much about playing it, personally speaking, so I'm going to rely on you guys for any comments, you know, that can tell me what this game's like. I just thought it was a good one to look at, and I was looking for something a little bit different, you know, to just the shooting games. I mean, there were any number of shooting games I could have put on here, or any number of sport games, but I felt like we needed something a little bit different, and I think Rastan provides that, so I'm looking forward to playing a little bit of this when I add it to the Spectrum. Okay, game 3 we're going to talk about is Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, or Ninja Turtles, depending on what part of the world you're in. The coin-op, released in 1991 by Imageworks UK. Personally speaking, I've never called them Hero Turtles. They've always been the Ninja Turtles to me, and I think it's stupid that I know it's in the UK and parts of Europe it was changed to Hero Turtles because they thought ninja was like too violent, which is ridiculous, isn't it? Quite honestly, you know, we're talking about like a cartoon, or like, you know, sort of like kids characters, if you like, that are based on turtles. Do we really think that just like throwing the word ninja in there makes them all like, you know, just too violent? It's absolutely crazy, but there you go. It is what it is, but that's what they've been known at in this. I don't actually know if we still in this country call them that or not, but personally speaking, I've never called them that personally, but you know, maybe that's just me. The genre is arcade game, beat 'em up, and gang, which is a bit weird. Maximum players 2. This game was also released on Amiga, Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and NES. It cost £11.99 or £15.99 on disc, and it won a Sinclair User Gold Award. I wasn't massively into the Ninja Turtles when I was younger. I saw the movie. I think I saw it on pirate video actually, because you know everyone was talking about it. There was a big buzz. It was all right. You know, I never really got into it that much. So I'm not going to say that I don't like the Ninja Turtles. It's just that I wasn't like, you know, a massive fan. I mean, if you lined up Scooby-Doo and Ninja Turtles to pick one to watch, I would always go for Scooby-Doo. You know? So I just don't think I got swept up in the craze of it all, to be honest with you. Subsequently, I don't believe I've ever played this game in the arcades. I have played a little bit of it on the Spectrum before, because I had a couple of friends that were massive into the Turtles, so you know, I did play a couple of 2-player games of it, and I remember liking it, but I don't have an extensive knowledge of this game, so I'm quite looking forward to playing it actually. I played the Cowabunga collection, which came out fairly recently on Steam, I believe. I can't remember if this was part of it. I don't remember what games I played on that, to be honest. I did a video, it's actually on the channel somewhere, where I got a review copy and I played it for about half an hour, I think, but I don't remember which games I played or on what platform, so I couldn't help you there, unfortunately. I'll try and remember to leave a link to the video if I can find it. It's definitely like a while ago now, probably a few years ago that I put that one up, but yeah, I don't remember playing much of this in the arcades, but I'm definitely going to give it a go on the Spectrum, so I'm looking forward to adding it and having a go of it. So, to the review, we've got a nice colourful one here. This is a Your Sinclair review. It's, yeah, very funky. But the problem is with these colours, it might make it a bit difficult to read, but we'll see. I'm hoping there's not going to be too many laughy, jokey moments like there was in the last review, well, not the last one. The last one I didn't read, it wasn't Crash, basically. Let's have a look anyway. James is the reviewer. Who are these turtles? I've never heard of them. Where do they live? What do they eat? Do they wear headbands over their eyes? I don't know. Okay then, James, how comes you've got a turtle's pillowcase, turtle's pajamas and slippers and turtle seat covers for the car? Answer that and stay fashionable, Ed. There's that fictitious Ed again. There's always there. This fictitious editor just cracks me up. It's like there's only one Ed in the world, isn't it? And he monitors all these magazines, it seems to me. I don't know why they always had to put Ed in and can't put people's names. It's really weird, but well, alright, I have heard of them, but still I don't know all their names. Anyway, here they are on the Specky, large as life. Well, as large as a small cauliflower anyway. The game is a version of the coin-op, and you've got to rescue Splinter and April from the clutches of Shredder. All people I've never heard of, by the way. You and me both. Actually, I know them. I know those characters. It's a horizontal scroller with the odd platform chucked in to make things a little bit more fun. You have to rush from left to right, killing everybody you meet, and that's about it. Occasionally, you'll be introduced to some really tough guys, or dudes as I'm supposed to say, because it's the Turtles. Because they're so rough, you'll need to use all your hacking and slashing and maiming skills to defeat them. Obviously, you can choose which turtle to play, and each has its own weapon and style of fighting. I haven't got a clue which one uses which weapons, but they're about equal in fighting ability. Oh, and you can also select whether you want 2-player mode. If you play with a pal, the violence quota is doubled, and you've got twice the chance of getting to April, whoever she is. I think this bloke knows more than he's letting on, personally. Once you've set up your game on your faithful spec, you'll plunge straight into downtown New York where everything's strangely monochrome. You barely get time to sit yourself down and have a nice cup of tea before some nasty men run on. From that moment it's Fight City USA as you kick, smack, gouge and punch your way through the levels. Each turtle uses his own weapon, but they can all kick, roll around and jump up and down. After playing for ages, I reckon that the flying kick is the most effective move. Time it right and you can waste entire screens of baddies. If you're into counting how many people you've killed, there's a meter at the bottom of the screen. My best score was about 200 before the turtle was wiped out. It's possible to have over 6 enemies all gang up on you at once, so your poor hands will be red raw from all the frantic joystick waggling. Usually the baddies only need 1 or 2 hits before they die, but at the end of level dudes are something else. Rocksteady and Bebop are tough chaps and they can take immense punishment before dying, so concentrate all your firepower on their evil little heads. Turtles the Coin Op, let me just say, is incredibly playable. Unlike a lot of beat 'em ups, it starts off quite easy with only 2 blokes attacking you who you can lay out with just 1 punch. Of course things get harder, but you should just about be able to keep on top. I'm usually bleep at these beat 'em ups, so this is excellent. It's only monochrome, but the graphics are pretty big and clear and the animation is great. Everything is fast and smooth and you can forget about bad response time and joystick lag because this is one speedy game. Hurrah. What else? Oh yes, there's a huge variety of baddies as well as Shredder's henchmen with their knives, dynamite and manhole covers. There are robot thingies and rats. There's also plenty of weird looking guys like Krang, Bebop and Shredder, and even people in the background who just stand there watching the action. There are 15 levels of this mayhem, so you won't get through it too quickly, even though it does start off pretty easy. Luckily you get a lot of lives, and if you're feeling a bit run down, you've got an energy meter as well, by the way. There's usually some pizza lying around for you to nosh. Turtles the Coin Op isn't an earth-shatteringly new concept in Specky games, but it certainly is playable, exciting and set at just about the right difficulty level. So rush out and buy it. If you don't like it, paint me yellow, call me Patch, dress me up in a flowery smock and dump me in a small village near Milton Keynes. That's a heck of a way to sign off a review, that is. My word. Final verdict: 87 life expectancy, 92 addictiveness, 84 for graphics, 91 for instant appeal, 89 overall. I predict this great Turtles game will be quite popular even though nobody's ever heard of them. That running joke again. I'm not going to bother reading these turtle facts because they're very weird. Actually no, we'll read them for a bit of a giggle. 8 little known Turtles facts. They're actually based on real people who were green, violent and had 2 toes. Okay. They were all, and were also Italian painters. In America, the Turtles are known as the Golden Girls. I don't think so. They've made so much money that they've got a lake in Canada each. They wear coloured blindfolds with the blind bits cut out to stop them from being recognised by fans, but it doesn't work and they continue to get mobbed in curries. Leonardo is bass player for Chesney Hawkes' band, the New Seekers. When Philip Schofield was younger, he looked exactly like a turtle. Luckily, he grew up into the pretty boy we see today. That's not exactly topical now, is it? But what a weird review again. Your Sinclair certainly knew how to do the nutso reviews, didn't it? But yes, this game, it looks good. I'm looking forward to playing a bit more of this actually. I will have to try and find out if it was on that compilation. To be honest, it wouldn't be the Spectrum version clearly, but there might be a version of this that was on the Cowabunga collection, so I may have played more of this than I thought. I can't remember what it was though. It was such a long time ago. Well, it wasn't, it was probably a couple of years ago, but so much has happened to me in the last couple of years that it feels like a lifetime ago. But yes, it's a good looking game. I'm sure there are some Turtles fans probably who are going to watch this video, so let me know in the comments what you think of it if you've played it. But I really like the look of it and I just wanted something again a little bit different. I'm trying to go for like different genres of games in this countdown, so yeah, I think it looks good. It reminded me a lot of Target Renegade, obviously with Turtles, so slightly different in that sense, but the look of it, like, you know, that sort of game, like a Double Dragon, that sort of thing. So yeah, looking forward to having a go of this. Game number 4 is Gauntlet, released in 1986 by US Gold Limited. This was a maximum 2-player game. It's described as arcade game maze. I'm sure everybody knows Gauntlet. Well, there might be some people that don't, I guess. Original price £8.99, disc price £12.99, and we have so many platforms for this game, which you'd probably expect, I guess. The Amiga version was actually unofficial, so I didn't know that. I remember having Gauntlet 3 on the Amiga, but I don't remember about having any of the other ones, so that will probably explain it. Amstrad CPC, Atari 8-bit, Atari ST, Commodore 64, MSX, Macintosh, Macintosh, NES, PC DOS, Sega Master System and Sega Mega Drive. Lots and lots. Average magazine score 89.44% from 9 reviews. Lots of awards to talk about as well. We have the third best arcade adventure for 1987 Crash Readers Awards. It also got a Crash Smash, a Your Sinclair Mega Game and a ZX Computing Monster Hit. And in the remarks comment on this page it says featured on Solid Gold compilation from US Gold for £9.99, $14.99 on +3 disc. Other games were Ace of Aces, Leaderboard, Winter Games and Infiltrator. Well, some cracking games there. Yes, Gauntlet, what can we say about Gauntlet? Absolutely loved it. I think I first played this on the Commodore 64 potentially, but also it's one of those games that I owned on both because I really liked it. Plus also me and my brother liked playing it together, so it was nice to have a version at my dad's but also a version at home that we could play. So yes, played a lot of Gauntlet. It's a lot of fun. I know a lot of people that love this game. My ex used to love it as well, so I played Gauntlet with her too. I think we played the Nintendo version. I think that's the version she had, but I also know people that had the Mega Drive version. So yeah, lots of people, lots of different platforms playing this game. Such fun. I used to also play this in the arcade as well. It's an all-round classic that just had to be included at some point on a coin-op conversions list for sure. We've actually got a double-page review for this one. We haven't had many. We've only had one so far, I think, and it's a Crash one. So finally we're back on Crash, because some of these other magazines, their reviews have been very wacky. Nice purple-looking review as well. I like purple as a colour. So without further ado, as with the Crash reviews usually, there's a lot of reading to do, so we'll crack on with it. Gauntlet, the official conversion, has at last appeared. The main difference between the arcade classic and this version is that US Gold have produced a game for 1 or 2 players, whereas up to 4 combatants can enter the coin-op arena. The package comes complete with extensive instructions to help Gauntlet novices who didn't spend their formative years pumping coins into the arcade machine. The program is multi-load with up to 8 levels loading at a time. To begin with, each player must choose one of the 4 characters. These are Thor the Warrior, Thyra the Valkyrie, Merlin the Wizard and Questor the Elf. Each has different levels of strength, armor and magic power. Strength determines how quickly a character can destroy opponents. Armor level determines the amount of damage a character sustains from a hit, while magic power affects the power of potions that are used. In a 2-player game, the pair of adventurers can work together, sharing the tasks between them and using their unique abilities to best effect. The aim is to scurry around the spacious dungeons, blasting everything that moves and collecting as much food and treasure as possible. Keys must be found and collected so that locked sections of the dungeons can be entered and explored. While all this is going on, the exit to each level must be located. Each dungeon consists of a maze of 2-dimensional walls and doors, with exits to the other levels scattered about. At the start of each level, a message details any special conditions that apply. For instance, your shots will stun your partner in some maze areas. Characters begin with a 2,000 health units displayed on the counter at the bottom of the screen. Confrontations with the evil beings that inhabit the dungeons reduce health points, and death ensues when a character's health rating reaches 0. In a 2-player game, a character can rejuvenate a dead partner who re-enters with a 0 score. The dungeons are full of guards and demons waiting to do battle with intruders. Generators located in the maze continually produce dozens of deadly denizens unless they are quickly destroyed. Characters can either shoot the enemy or enter into hand-to-hand combat, which usually scores more points at the expense of the loss of more energy. Hordes of opponents tend to congregate together in sections of a maze, just waiting for you to turn a corner or destroy a wall so they can get at you. Ghosts are the most common opponents and hit a character once and drain some energy and then disappear. Hand-to-hand fighting is pointless with spooks. Lobbers are sneaky fellows throwing rocks and other heavy items over maze walls. Demons spray fireballs which sap energy very rapidly. Grunts are armed with heavy clubs and run up to your character, biffing away repeatedly. Sorcerers use magic to defeat you, making themselves temporarily invisible and immune to your shots. Death is the toughest guardian of them all and can only be defeated by the use of magic. The best approach is to avoid him altogether. Food and drink, some of which is poisoned, can be collected to restore health and boost your score. Potions found in the mazes have a range of effects. Some act as smart bombs, while special potions confer additional fighting or shooting ability, increase your character's speed or improve magical power. All the collectible objects are picked up by walking over them, although potions can be shot, in which case their smart bomb effect is reduced. Points are awarded for each denizen dispatched, and for collecting objects. Every so often a bonus treasure room is encountered where the aim is to gather up all the treasure and escape before a time limit expires. Transporter pads appear on some levels, and stepping on one moves the player to another pad on the screen. As in the original game, some of the walls can be destroyed by repeated shots, while stepping on a trap makes a section of wall disappear. And the comments we have: Use of colour adequate, graphics inevitably a bit small. Sound unremarkable, skill levels 1, screens 512 scrolling levels, that is a lot. Disc conversion is let down a little by graphics and sound, but the gameplay more than makes up for those deficiencies. Presentation 90%, graphics 77%, that's a bit harsh. Playability 94%, addictive qualities 94%, value for money 91%, and overall 92%. So good scores apart from the graphics. Yeah, I can see that, I suppose, but I think they did what they could on the Spectrum, and I think it's a pretty good looking game. Let's have a look at the criticisms. Ben says Gauntlet has turned out to be a much better game than any of its clones. Programmers have managed to capture a lot of the spirit of the arcade machine. This version is nearly as playable as the original and far cheaper. Graphically, Gauntlet is pretty run-of-the-mill, the sound is generally lame, the tune is instantly forgettable, and the effects are dull and infrequent. Don't be put off by these shortcomings. Gameplay is where Gauntlet really picks up my marks. I could easily play it until the end. If you have been waiting for a decent game of this type to appear, then I doubt you'll find much better. Mike said, hey wow, the biggest arcade hit I ever saw hits the Spectrum. What puny little graphics, but wow, what a game. This is just what Spectrum owners need. A proper involved two-player game. Despite the fact that I am against most multi-load systems, it's hardly surprising that Gauntlet has got one. It must be one of the biggest games about. If you're only likely to play it on your own, then think before you splash out. But in two-player mode, it's hard to stay away from. Well done, US Gold. And Paul said, at last the original game hits the streets, well, the Crash office anyway. This is just as playable as the arcade machine, and the conversion retains the fast screen scroll. It even manages to keep the old come on follow me feeling. If you're playing with a friend, cooperation is essential, as the dungeon scrolls around the characters on screen and it's easy to get trapped if you try to go your separate ways. Gauntlet is more of a shoot/pick 'em up game than any of its clones, and as such it contains much more fast action fun. Cancel all the engagements for the next month. Gauntlet has arrived. That's a pretty good end to the review there. So yes, I doubt very much there's many people out there. If you are one of the few people that's never played Gauntlet before, do let me know, because there's probably a few people. But I mean, it was such a massive game back then, and it's so much fun to play even now. Definitely a good game to play with two players. You know me, I'm pretty much a solo gamer. That's the way I've played my games most of my life. But when me and my brother occasionally would play two-player games, this would definitely be one of the ones we would team up on. This, like Target Renegade, a lot of the sports games as well. If we had a chance to play on the same team, we would do it. We found it more fun than competing against each other, and because I guess like sometimes we both wanted to win, so you know those competitions could turn quite nasty from time to time. But it all done in good spirit, of course, as well. But you know, neither one of us are very good losers, and I think that trend continued when I got married. Like my wife was always like, you know, never liked losing, and neither did I. So if we played two-player games, it was the same thing. We were always better off playing on the same team. So games like this promote that, and a lot of fun to do. And yeah, obviously if you've never heard of Gauntlet, and you've got to add it, you've got to. It's great, and I'm sure anyone who's heard of it will be keen to add it too. It's that much fun. And finally, we're going to talk about Combat School, released in 1987 by Ocean. This was a two-player game and described as a multi-sport event. The original price was £7.95 or £14.95 on disc. That's a heck of a leap up for the disc price there. Normally it's only a few quid different. Also released on Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64. Average magazine score for 3 reviews on this is 91%. That's pretty good. Got a few awards. Annual awards, you got second best simulation in 1987 Crash Readers Awards, and also the third most accurate review. That's always a strange one. In 1987 Crash Readers Awards. It also received a Crash Smash and a Your Sinclair Mega Game. This game was released as Boot Camp in North America, by the way. So in case you're unfamiliar, if you're from America, you're thinking what the heck is Combat School? Boot Camp was the name of the game in America, produced by Konami as well, the game. I remember back in the day thinking this game was a bit almost like a Daley Thompson Super Test, but set in the army kind of deal, you know, something like that. It was definitely, it felt more like a sports game, even though it was like to do with combat and stuff and the army and everything. But I remember liking it a lot as well. It's another game that me and my brother used to play a lot together, so you know, we've got a lot of memories of it. But unfortunately, it is one of those games where you could quite easily end up breaking your joystick, so you've got to be careful on that sort of thing, particularly when you're adding it to the Spectrum, because you don't want to be damaging your keys or anything like that. But it's a good fun game, and I think it was worthy of talking about. And as ever, let me know in the comments if you've played it before. It's quite hard to line this review up, to be honest with you, because there was a lot of messy edges to this one, so I've kind of done the best I can. Nice looking review though. It's from Crash. and we'll have a read of it now. Some good pictures on here, even though the middle one's slightly wonkily lined up, well, and the bottom one, to be honest with you. I did the best I could. Let's read the review. It says, the guys who get through the US Marine Corps combat school eat 6 shredded wheat for breakfast, and if you can join them and beat the time limit for completing 7 grueling tests in Ocean's combat school coin-op conversion, you'll be a tough guy too, and there's a top secret anti-terrorist mission waiting to be done. Your training begins with an assault course, walls of different height, and an arm walk. A meter shows the muscular power you're generating. If you can keep it up, it's on to the next section, the first firing range. Targets appear from the ground and remain in sight for just a few seconds, but at least 38 must be hit, blasted by a moving and multi-directional cursor. The next event is the Iron Man race. Only a good running speed can see you successfully through rough country strewn with boulders, water hazards and bridges. Then you'll swim across a fast flowing river of logs. Now you're exhausted, but the second firing range appears, and the challenge is to hit 95 robot tanks as they appear before you. From there, it's on to show your bicep supremacy in an arm wrestling contest. This man-to-man trial of muscles is different from all others at the school, because even if you fail, you're allowed to carry on training. Normally, the instructor's more ruthless. Fail any other test and you're out. And now your tingling arm must be brought under control, for accuracy is once more required on the third shooting range. As on the first, targets pop up just a few seconds, but it's more complicated this time because you have to avoid hitting red targets, get one by accident, and a whole screen of targets and potential points is lost to you. The final and hardest stage of combat school puts you into unarmed combat with an instructor. You can throw punches, kicks, leap into attack and leap away again, and if you hit your opponent often enough and quickly enough, you are the victor. But of course the opposite also applies, and if you fail this ultimate challenge, you cannot graduate. For all that, there's some pity left in those Marine instructors if you can't compete an event or amass enough points within its individual time limit. After the indignity of a few chin-ups, you can return to the course, and if you do extra well in an event, bonus points do wonders for your prospects of promotion when it's all over. But it's never all over for a US Marine. If you manage to graduate from the school, all your newly acquired skills are needed on a mission to rescue a hostage from an American embassy. That's a pretty cool way to end it, isn't it, really? Sound, stirring tunes, graphics, excellent, detailed, no clash, options, 2-player option, definable keys, demo of Grisor, another Konami coin-op conversion imminent from Ocean on the 128K tape, but one minus point, multi-load is necessary on the 48K Spectrum. General rating, a hugely addictive challenge of speed, strength and coordination that looks and sounds good too. Presentation 91%, graphics 94%, playability 93%, addictive qualities 92% and overall 93%. Nick gave it 91% and said, combat school, the coin-op, the game, the sweat, the joystick blisters. This is a faithful conversion of the arcade original, as it's almost impossible to complete. Perhaps a few pokes could deal with that. Some of the stages are so grueling it will be easier to do the tests in real life than in the computer version. The graphics couldn't be better, and the vivid colour, completely clashless characters and backgrounds are all excellent. On the 128K version is excellent sound and the added luxury of not having to reload after a few levels. Combat School is brilliant on the 48K and the best 128K game around. Wow, 91%. Dave said, this is one of the wickedest packages around and guaranteed to destroy your joystick. Great. There's plenty of variety from swimming rivers to shooting tanks, and every level's playable and very addictive. You'll be surprised how much effort it can take to move a sprite. Combat School is one of the best games I've ever played, 93%. Finally, we have Paul, who said, there are very few games on the Spectrum that actually make you sweat while you're playing. Imagine's Hypersport is one, and Combat School from the same software conglomerate, the latest. If you've played the arcade game and thought it could never be done on the Spectrum, think again. This is the machine's most successful arcade conversion yet. The graphics are superb and the 128K sound is more than just impressive. It's some of the best around, with the tunes playing even while you're struggling in the events. 2-player mode makes the game very competitive, almost adding a new dimension, and indeed Combat School is the ideal Christmas present for weaklings and strongmen alike, 94%. So there we go, impressive scores all around, but also a little warning on joystick durability, obviously, as most of these games tended to come with, you know, like the likes of Daley Thompson's Decathlon and such. But also, this one is difficult. I do remember it being difficult. I do remember it being frustrating. I have never, needless to say, ever seen the mission at the end. So that will be something that it'll be nice nice to maybe again use the saves if you have a particularly good run at the start. Any event you're struggling with, you can use the saves, can't you? If you get through the first event, you can then put a save point in, and then you're on to the second one. You wouldn't have to keep restarting, but it might be a way, definitely, if you want to see the ending of this game, to make it work on the Spectrum. So that would be pretty cool. Just be very cautious about what joystick you use, etc. And if you're using the keyboard, be very cautious about that too, because you don't want to do any damage to your lovely rubber keys, do you? But it's definitely a lovely looking game, and a good game, and a bit of a frustrating game from what I can remember too. But let me know in the comments if you've played it. Let me know if you've ever beaten it, and let me know, you know, if you have played that last mission, whether you enjoyed it or not, because it does sound very intriguing to me, and I'm hoping I'm going to get there at some point on the Spectrum. Okay, so there you have it. That's 5 more coin-op conversions to add to the Spectrum. Those games were Ghouls and Ghosts, Rastan, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, the coin-op, Gauntlet, and Combat School. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you've got some memories of these games. Please do let me know in the comments as ever, and share your memories, whether you want to share memories of the ZX Spectrum versions themselves or the arcade games if you played them on the arcades. I'm sure plenty of you did. I'm currently working on another games to add list, and I'm also going to start soon. If you were a fan of the Matchday 2 series, I'm going to start a league, but on Sensible World of Soccer. I've been advised to do 96-97, so I'll probably stick with that one on the Amiga Mini. So look forward to that. It's kind of like we're going to start, we're not forgetting about the Spectrum by any means. There'll be a mixture of both, but I'm going to start doing a slight look towards the future, and obviously the Amiga Maxi is supposed to be coming early this year, touch wood, and we better all do that together just in case, because we don't want any delays. So I thought, you know, we'll have a few glances towards the Amiga, but we will still be mostly doing Spectrum stuff still, because it's amazing and I'm having great fun with it. And obviously keep your questions rolling in if you have any regarding the Spectrum. There's been a couple of technical questions I've been asked in the comments, which unfortunately I don't have the answers to. I'm not like massively up on all the problems that come, but do mention them still, because someone in the comments might know and I might be able to find out. So I'm currently investigating one that was an out of memory problem. I don't happen to know how you fix that. I haven't heard of it so far, but if anybody has, please check my comments and you'll find somebody's asked that question. I think it's on a recent video. I can't pin it down on here, unfortunately, because I've got a 51-year-old memory and it's not very good. So yeah, but it was definitely asked that question, and if you do know the answer to that, then do let me know in the comments if you could on this video, and I'll pass it along. Okay everybody, as always, hope you're having a great start to the new year. Mine's been pretty meh, but you know, it's just continuing on from last year for me really. Not really changing too much. Not exactly a fun start to the new year, but I actually don't mind the cold weather, so it's not too bad, but it's a lot colder than I'm used to even for me, so it's not been great. But anyway, I digress. Take care everybody, and hopefully I'll have another video up for you very soon. Bye for now.